Hey everyone, just a quick mention before we get started in today's video. If you're new here, first of all, thank you ever so much for stopping on by. But if you are new here, the video that we're talking about today actually builds off my template vault. If you actually want to see that in action, what that's about, we're actually going to talk about that at the end of the video. But if you want to see what it's all about before we get into this video, highly recommend checking up in the top right now, where I'll have a card where it'll talk you all about what we're doing here. But if you want to check this out first, please do, and then you can go check that out later. But let's jump straight into the video. Hey everyone, are you looking at keeping track of your dates in your tabletop RPG games? Are you using Obsidian? Well, I might have something for you today. One thing to note though is, we're actually going to be looking outside of Obsidian, but implementing it within Obsidian to help us out. The reason we're doing this is because there is a really cool website that can do a lot of things for us, but a little bit of that in just a moment. I would just like to point out, if you want to be a full Obsidian powerhouse user, there is a community plugin called Calendarium, which works a lot the same way that you'd expect a calendar to work, and how we're going to be looking at the website actually works very similar. You'll probably recognize some very familiar names such as Jeremy Valentine, Erin Schnabel? I'm going to regret saying these names, and Rebecca Bishop. Some very big faces and names within the actual community themselves. They make a lot of great community plugins, and honestly, it's worth checking out. However, there's a couple of reasons why I want to look outside of Obsidian for this, and simply because Obsidian isn't able to do everything, and if it can try to, but you might find that it gives off a trade-off here and there. Whereas if we was to look outside of Obsidian and still implement it within Obsidian, we get a lot of the same functionality, but it changes a few things. This is definitely a preference for some people, so we're going to have a little bit of a conversation about that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and actually just look at what we're going to be using. So we're actually using the Fantasy Calendar website. Now, they don't actually have an Obsidian plugin, but they are actually talking about making one of their own. Now, if you look over here, it gives us a great idea of what we can use for our games. So as you can see, we have various months, different days, shows us what our actual day is on, and even the moon cycles. We also have a way to check our temperature, the weather that's going on, and we can even change what climate we're in, so it automatically updates this. It even gives us the ability to create events, so we can keep track of what's going on within our worlds. We have a lot more functionality on the left hand side here, and we have all of this for free. We can check all of our statistics, we can change all of the weekdays, months, moons, the weather, create events. All this is completely free. Now, they do have a paid section where you can become a subscriber and you are able to link different calendars together if you want to do some very complex things of where one kingdom may have one calendar, another kingdom may have another. User management, which allows you to actually bring more people in to help you out with your calendar. Also have real-time advancement, so if so many seconds pass in real time in your calendar itself, then you can change if it's exactly the same amount of time that's passing there, if it's shorter, more, so you have a lot of control. And it also gives you the ability to embed it in websites as well. And there's some Discord integrations and a few other really cool benefits, which I highly recommend checking out, as these guys are really cool and do some amazing things. But the reason why we're looking at using the website rather than Obsidian is one common complaint that I see a lot of people have when it comes to Obsidian is they complain things are slow. They complain that they can't always show everything that they're wanting. They can't do these really complex, like, what happens if I want to do this event that happens on X day, but it has so many different spaces between, so on and so forth. And the plugin, especially Calendarium, would be able to do some of that stuff. But you're also putting all the work on Obsidian. So instead, for free, we could actually take the load off Obsidian a little bit and start chucking it in here. And I'm not, this isn't a tutorial on actually how to use this website. that's going to be something completely different. But you can very much quickly come in here, use a template to go ahead and just get something up and running, and then you can change it from there, or you can make it completely from scratch. Come through here, get your different weekdays, or your months in, or your leap days, or your eras, so on and so forth. And you're able to do all of that in here. Now, you're probably thinking, well, okay, that's really cool, but how do we actually use this in Obsidian? Well, there's a little bit of a caveat to it, but if we move over to Obsidian, I'll show you. So the way I utilize this is actually, first of all, using this. So we can actually use what's called an iframe, which essentially displays a website for us. And you can see this is exactly the same website. Exactly the same website that I was just on, showing me the calendar. So I can come through here and see exactly what I've got on here. And if you're using custom frames, the plugin, then you can even log into your account and you can start editing it from here and doing all that from here as well. Or you can go on the website on your web browser and edit it from there when you want to be making edits, but then utilize this as just a preview so you can see what's going on and very quickly see the temperature, the weather, everything like that. The one thing that I don't like about the Calendarium, and again, it's a really cool plugin, is it's not very clear when you're looking at the actual display itself. It's very simple, just plain text, and has a very hard to read dot sometimes when there's an event there. Whereas as you guys can see with this, it's very clear on how all the information is presented, showing you the different moons, the weather, the temperature, the date, and these little highlights at the bottom here is actually showing what is the season and how far we're in it and how far along we are from changing from one season to another. So really cool stuff. Now, one thing that we might want to be able to do in this, and a little bit of a caveat, is actually housing the information for our games, our events, our holidays and such within our campaign within Obsidian. And there is actually a way we can do that. So first of all, let's go ahead and actually jump into the templates I have prepared for you guys, and we can see how we can use these in tandem with the website. So if I open these up, you'll be able to see I have 4 new templates for you guys. There's the event template, the month template, the year template, and also the era template. Now, all these ones that we can use in different ways. So let's just go ahead and start throwing these in. So if I go ahead and use our quick add, or the buttons if you guys prefer using that way, and we're going to go ahead and add a new era. And just for the sake of it, I'm just going to call this the testing era. And then from there, that's going to go ahead and put it in the campaign folder, lore, calendar, and eras. And that's going to chuck it in there for us nicely. Next, we probably want a year to go in here. So I'm currently on the year 836. So we'll go ahead and click enter on that as well. Now, I've left a couple of months in here, just a little bit easier to kind of show you guys. But I've got my first 2 months in here, which will show things off. But I'll go ahead and just do another one as well. So we'll do 837. So those are being displayed up here as well in the years folder. And then what we'll do, we'll go ahead and make a couple of months. Do Aurora. And Novus. Oops. Right, you click the selection there, Novus. And then just for the sake of it, we'll go ahead and make 2 events. Now, making the events, we have 2 options. We can house these in a recurring folder, or we can have these in significant. So the difference between these are recurring is essentially things that happen every year. So that could be something like a Christmas, could be something like Easter, those kind of examples, where significant are significant points within your history. So when a great battle happened, or when a hero sacrificed themselves, things like that. So what we'll do is we'll probably just do a one of each. So we'll do a recurring. So we'll say Christmas, just so we have an example. And then we'll go ahead and do another one, which is significant, and we'll say the hero died. And then those pop up in each of these folders as well. So awesome. Now we have these, we can start looking at this. So if I go to the very top and we look at eras, we have this. So we have a quick references. So whenever we type anything in, so for example, if I was to come in here and say Vandarin, which is one of my players, and give this a moment to update, what it's going to do is it's going to automatically start filling this with various things for our quick reference, which is really amazing, and we're going to be implementing that in more places within the templates. But what it also does is if we open this up, you'll see that we have a data view where we can see the year and any aliases it may go by. Well, the way we can actually get this filled out is if we go down a layer into our years, so 836 and 837, go into the metadata, go into the info, and in here you can see we have a bit of information we can fill. So alias is essentially if it's known something. So if this was the year of Santa Claus, just because we did Christmas a minute ago. But then we have the era as well, so we can say what era was this year set in. So we can go ahead and click test era. And then down below we have the calendar link. So this is just a link to my calendar, which you can see here. But you can change that with your calendar or anything else that you would prefer. And then what we'll do again is just very quickly do the same for this era as well, or in this year. And then if we go back up to the era and then see what years are included, we'll see that the years 836 and 837 are included in here, which is amazing. So we can start listing out exactly what years are included within the year, or in the era, sorry. So awesome. Next we can start looking at, well, we have these months. And because I had this automatically filled out just a little bit, this is already here for me. But what happens when you guys get your hands on this is you may need to copy and paste one of these blocks each time and just rename it with whichever month that you want. And that's also including in here in the data view. So we've got some data views and it's looking for certain things. So for example, if it's a recurring or a significant event, and we're getting all the information such as the name, alias, start date, category, and location. Well, once again, what we can do is if we start looking down the list, looking at the months, it's essentially just highlighting exactly what is in here. And then we'll get back to that in just a moment. So if we go ahead and go to Christmas, open up the metadata and the info, you'll start to see there's a little bit more information when it comes to these. And we've also got that down here in the bottom right within the event info. So we have aliases like always, and the category is either religious or secular, so either religious event or non-religious events. So this is Christmas, so we'll go ahead and say this is a religious event. And then if this is a significant or recurring, so this is a recurring event. So start date, and this is where the caveat comes in. So to make this system fairly universal for everyone, because you might get times of where it's either like the first of the month, or for this example the 25th of a month, or you might have ones which are the first Friday, the last Monday, every second Tuesday, anything of that sort. So keeping a simple plain text allows you to have a bit more creativity freedom with this, or creative freedom. But it does hinder your ways so where you can be able to search this later down the line. We have a system in place which allows you to get a decent idea with it and manage to table it all up. But just bear that in mind, as there are some drawbacks, as I mentioned earlier, about going through with this system. So we'll just go ahead and say this is on the 25th. And we'll also say this on the 25th, and just for the sake of it, we'll put in Aurora as well. And then the month of occurrence, so this is what our data views are looking for, so we can actually table it. So we'll go ahead and put Aurora in here. And the year of occurrence. Now, we can put this in here if we was to go ahead and put this as a significant event. Because if it only happens at one point in the timeline, then that needs to be spotted on a certain year. But because this is a recurring event, this happens every year, we don't need to assign that. And then location, if this was to happen in a certain location, we can link that here as well, so we have that for future reference. And then we have a calendar link here, which is going to be quite an important thing. And I'll get back to that when we do our Hero Died event. So with that, go ahead and close that down. I'm not going to bother with the written text, but these are sections where you guys can come in and start writing out this information. So go to Hero Died, and then we'll do a very similar thing, where we'll go ahead and do a secular event this time. We'll go ahead and do a significant. We'll say this was on the 4th of Novus. And then we'll say that this happened on Novus. And because this happened on a year, so this is a significant event that happened at one point, we'll say this was on the 836. And then location, just because I can, I'll go ahead and do Colberdon. And then calendar link. So this more so is a placeholder when it comes to just overall linking to the calendar. But one nice thing that we can do when it comes to this stuff is if we come over to our calendar and we said the 4th of Novus, which is here. If I was to create an event, and just for the sake of it, we'll just call this Hero Died. What I can do here is actually go back to Obsidian. Come over to the left. I can go ahead and actually copy Obsidian URL. I'm kind of blocking the way. I went the wrong way. Oops. Do it that there. No problem with the camera. Copy Obsidian URL. And then if we head back on over to the event, over here in the calendar, what we can do, we can actually say Obsidian note, highlight it, and then click this little linking button where we can insert a link, put that there and confirm. And then we have this Hero Died event. What this allows us to do is if I was to click on this link, and I can show you this in real time, is if I was to go ahead and close this down, and you guys won't be able to see my calendar, but if I was to go ahead and actually come on back over to here in the website and click on that Obsidian note, you guys will see on Obsidian, it goes ahead and opens up this note once again, which is amazing. So we can start linking this stuff and use the website to talk to Obsidian. And we can do the same, especially when it comes to these significant events. So once again, we have this calendar link. So we can come back over to our calendar. We can go back to the 4th of Novus, and then we can right click, and then we can copy link to date. And then this works exactly the same way, where we can go back to Obsidian, and then replace this. And then you'll see it adds a little bit of an additional here, which is year 836, month 1, day 4. And that's going to send us straight back to where we want. So if I was to click on that, you'll see it sends us right there. And you see it's highlighted orange because that's exactly the date that we just selected. And this is how we can do some really amazing stuff. It gives us the ability to start connecting all this stuff together and start using a website which is designed to handle a lot more of this creative calendar with a lot more power behind it than if we was to do it within Obsidian. And with that, it means we can focus again, and that's the kind of theme of this channel as a whole with Obsidian, is keeping your notes as notes and letting systems which are made for things like your virtual tabletops or calendars and such, like these things, be their own systems, but use Obsidian to supplement them. Okay, so with that, what we can do now is return to our event and have a look and see how all this works together. So with the Christmas one, obviously we set that to Aurora, so if we was to have a look into the recurring event, you'll see it starts popping up in here. And because it is recurring, What'll happen is it'll start appearing both in year 836, but not in Novus here. But when we go to 837, you'll see it also pops up in here because it's recurring. It happens every year. But if we start thinking about where the hero died, we can see that in the significant event, it appeared in this month, so we'll see all significant events that happen within this month. But if we go to 836, we'll see if we go to significant event, not the events here because this is when it actually happened within that year. But if we go to 837 and go to significant events in a Novus, it doesn't appear there because it's not happening in that year, so we don't need to know about it. So the years are going to be exactly what happens within each of those years, surprisingly. And then the months are more so a general overview of seeing of what events as a whole happened within each month. And then obviously they talk to then the years, and then the years then go back to the eras. And with this system, it's really great, and it allows you to kind of keep a lot of the notes and the general bits of information within Obsidian and let the heavy lifting happen over on the calendar. It's great. And like I was saying before, there's definitely going to be people that don't like this system. They're going to definitely want to keep everything on the Obsidian and kind of be more of a general power user when it comes to this. And that's great. And I recommend using the Calendarium plugin. Like I was saying before, it's a really good plugin and it's just not really working for me. So I started having a look around and this is what I come up with. And if this interests you and you want to pick up these templates now and start using the Fantasy Calendar website, you can go ahead and do so. Go ahead and jump over to my Ko-fi, where not only will you be able to access these templates, but you get access to the entire template vault. So this is my personal vault, but it gives you a general idea of how we're looking at. Mine's a little bit different with just some personal tweaks here and there, but it gives you an idea of a hub where you can go ahead and store all your tools. So for example, I have an encounter builder, I have websites where I get my rule references from, name generators, obviously we saw the calendar before, and some general other tools that I use. Also have ideas, so if I have any cool ideas, I'm going to chuck them in here. And I've also got a random note section here, so it just kind of goes ahead and tells me, hey, here's some random notes. If anything kind of sparks your interest, you can go into these. Furthermore, I also have my actual party hub, so I can see all the members of my party, both NPCs and players. I can find their session logs, any adventures they're on, and I can see their most important relations. So I can see of any any family members, any allies that they have, any friends or maybe enemies that they have that I could use for plot points. Within the characters, we have all of this as well, where you can start seeing any kind of letters or literature they may have or any service requests they have. I have all their background information and details. I have settlements, as you can see here. I have a data view set up so I can see exactly what NPCs are actually currently in this location, which is an amazing thing. So I don't have to go looking around for one NPC who I just can't remember the name of. If they live here or currently here at this moment in time, I can find them on this list. And same goes for any organizations, locations, and I even have maps for the actual locations themselves as well. Also have NPCs. These all link to certain areas as well, so you can see this is an organization, the Udinis Merchants Guild, which they're a part of. We can see the shop that they currently own, which is the Enigma Emporium, and it also links back to these current locations that they're currently in, which is their shop and in Colberdon. And it all links together. And even just to show you a little bit more, here is the Clergy of the Hearth Mother, which is a religious organization in my world. And again, we can link everything together so I can quickly find any people important within this organization, any important locations, and so on and so forth. It's a really amazing tool, and if you want to get your hands on it, the link is down below. And just thank you guys for watching. Without your support, none of this would be possible, and I'm just highly, highly grateful. So thanks again, and as a quick mention, what do you guys think of the camera? Like it? Don't like it? Let me know. I'll catch you guys later and hope you enjoyed. Bye for now.